Okay, let's go through the paper. So number one, write down the value of the 7 in this number. So we've got tens, we've got units, decimal point, then we've got tenths, and then we've got hundredths. So the 7 is hundredths. You can write it as a fraction, you can write it as words, hundredths. You could even have written 0.01 or 0.07. All will get you 1 mark. Right, let's put these in order. So smallest first. So we're going to go for 0.08 first. Then we've got 0.1, 0.12, and then 0.18. Write this correct to 1 decimal place. Well, 1 decimal place means you only want 1 number after a decimal point. And so are we going to leave it as 2.7 or round it up to 2.8? The next number along, 9, tells us, because it's 5 or more, that we're going to round it up to 2.8. D, find the number which is halfway between these two. If you really struggle with finding halfway, what I normally do is I do 2.7 plus 3.5, which gives me 6.2, and then I halve it, which is 3.1. That's halfway between 2.7 and 3.5. Write this number, this decimal, as a percentage, times it by 100 to write it as a percentage, and that gives you 7%. Show that questions. Remember, you have to show your working, otherwise you cannot get the full 5 marks for these 2 questions. And so here we're timesing top and bottom by 3 to make them both out of 15. So I get 12 fifteenths. Top and bottom here by 5, so that we get 10 over 15. Add them together and you get 22 over 15. Turn it back into a mixed number. How many 15s go into 22? 1. Remainder 7 over 15. Okay, next one, you're going to have to turn them back into improper fractions. So 2 times 4, add 1, gives you 9 quarters. Do the same to the other 3.5, and that becomes 7 halves. Now, some of you do crisscross, so you do that, or some of you do leave it, change it, flip it. Either way, you're going to get 9 times 2, which is 18, over 4 times 7, which is 28. Then hopefully you realise that you need to simplify it, and they're both divisible by 2. And that gives you 9 14ths. Okay, question 3. I tried to give full marks as where possible, but some of you, though your layout wasn't very good. Right, remember, you let x equal 0.417417. Remember, when there's more than 2 numbers that are recurring, we put a dot above the beginning of the recurring bit and at the end of the recurring bit. So it means that whole chunk, 417, recurs forever and ever. So 417, 417. Now, because there are 3 numbers recurring, we're going to multiply by 1,000. If there was 1 number recurring, we would times by 10. If there were 2 numbers recurring, we would times by 100. So we're going to times by 1,000 to get 1,000x equals 417.417417. Then we're going to subtract x, which is just 0.417417. So subtract. 1,000x take away 1x is 999x. Then on the other side, the recurring bit disappears and we're left with 417 take away 0, which is 417. Then divide both sides by 999 to give you that x is 417 over 999. Now 417 over 999 can be simplified. Both top and bottom are divisible by 3, and that gives you 139 over 333. Okay, next one, find the ratio of pupils to number of teachers. Remember, you have to do it in the order it's written in. So there are 840 pupils and 40 teachers. Okay, so pupils to teachers. Then it says give it in the form n to 1. So we want to make this side 1. So in order to do that, I've divided by 40. I have to do the same to the other side and divide by 40, which gives me 21. So it's 21 to 1. Next, so we know how many people study chemistry. So the ratio is 3 to 2. So that's chemistry to physics. We know that 105 students study chemistry. So then in order to find out what I multiplied 3 by to get 105, I'll do 105 divided by 3, which gives me that I must have multiplied by 35. Again, whatever I do to that side, I should do to this side as well. So times by 35, which gives me 70. So 70 students studied physics. Okay, here we want to know how many girls study chemistry. We know that the ratio of boys to girls, so boys to girls, is 4 to 3. So we're going to do 4 plus 3 equals 7 in total, and then 105 divided by 7 to give us, so 105 divided by 7 to give us how much one part is, so 15. And then we know that girls are 3 parts, so we'll do 3 times 15, which gives us 45 girls. This one's really nice. We want to find the total surface area, so of all 5 Great Lakes. So we are going to add up all of the surface areas we're given of all 5 Great Lakes. Luckily, they are all 10 to the power of 10, so that's really nice and easy. And so all you need to do is add up 2.57 plus the 6.01 plus the 5.80 plus 1.91 plus 8.21, and that I think comes to 24.5. So 24.5 and times 10 to the power of 10. Now, it says give your answer in standard form. That's not in standard form. So if you gave the answer 24.5 times 10 to the power of 10, you would get 1 mark. Let's put it into standard form. We need to move the decimal point this way, so 2.45, and then add 1 to the indices because we still want it to equal the same number. So it's times 10 to the power of 11. Here, we know that the volume of water in Lake Superior is K times the volume of water in Loch Ness. So so Lake Superior is 1.22 times 10 to the power of 13. And we're going to divide it by the volume we get for Loch Ness, which is 7.45 times 10 to the power of 9. The big numbers do as normal. You can just do it on your calculator. 1.22 divided by 7.45. That gives you 0.1637, actually 38, and I'll leave it there. You get quite a long decimal there, but I'm going to leave it there for now. And times 10 to the power of. Now remember, because I'm dividing, I'm going to subtract my indices. So I'm going to do 13, take away 9, which gives me 4. So times 10 to the power of 4. Now, if you then just made it into a standard form, which would be 1.64 to 3 significant figures. Remember, it has to be 3 significant figures times 10 to the power of 3. That would be fine as well. However, we can also put it in a normal number, which would be 1,640. Okay, and that's to 3 significant figures. Okay, so standard form, not standard form, index form. This is 6 to the power of 1. Remember, when we're multiplying, we add the indices. So 5 plus 2 plus 1, and that would be 6 to the power of 8. When the indices are next to each other, we multiply. So 7 times 2, and so that would be 9 to the power of 14. Here, it's up to you whether you write an equation or not, but we know that because they're multiplying, we will do n plus 3 and take away 6, because that's dividing. So n plus 3, take away 6, and that should equal the 4. So equals 4. So n plus, so 3 take away 6 is minus 3, equals 4. I add 3 to both sides to get n equals 7. You don't have to, you didn't have to do an equation. Some of you would have guessed it was 7. You would have tried different numbers. So maybe some of you added on the 6 to get 10 and realised that that the n plus 3 needed to equal 10 as well. So n is 7. It doesn't matter. That's absolutely fine. Right. Collecting like terms, we've got E take away 11E. So that gives you minus 3E. And then you've got 2F plus 3F, which gives you 5F. Part B, it doesn't matter whether you use the grid or you use arrows, that's fine. So, but make sure you're multiplying 2y by 3y minus 7. 2y times 3y is 6y squared. And 2y times minus 7 is minus 14y. So your answer is 6y squared minus 14y. Okay, this one for 2 marks, you had a lot of work to do. There is another easier way you can do it, but that's a bit further on with our maths. And so hopefully a lot of you did was to expand this bracket, x minus 5 times x minus 5, which gave you x squared minus 5x positive 25. I can gather these two together, so I get x squared minus 10x plus 25. Now that should be multiplied by 4, and then I've got to add on my 3 times x minus 5, which is 3x minus 15. So 3x minus 15. 4 times x squared is 4x squared. 4 times minus 10x is minus 40x. And then 4 times 25 is 100. And I've got the plus 3x minus 15. When I tidy it up, I can put together my minus 40x and plus 3x. and that gives me 4x squared minus 37x, and then I can also put together plus 100 minus 15, which gives me plus 85. Okay, getting up to that point, even though it's a lot, gives you 1 mark. Now you need to factorise it. Remember with this one, you need to do 4 times 85, which gives you 340. And so you want a number that multiplies to make 340, but adds to make minus 37. So adds to make 340, other way around. Multiplies to make 340, adds to make minus 37. And those two numbers are minus 20 and minus 17. So you rewrite your equation 4x squared, and instead of writing minus 37, I'm going to write minus 20x minus 17x plus 85. Line down the middle, I'm going to factorise this side. I can take out 4x, and inside I get x minus 5. Take away. 17 is the biggest number that goes into 17 and 85, so take out 17, and inside I have x minus 5 again. So I write down the repeated bracket, which is x minus 5, and then I put the repeated bits outside, the bits outside, the 4x and the minus 17 together in one bracket. So 4x minus 17 in one bracket. And that's all for 2 marks. Okay, this writing the formulae question was super easy. So T equals, it says Chow buys M small packets. Now we know that M small packets have 6 batteries in each packet. So 6M plus he buys 9 large packets of batteries, and we know that large packets of batteries have 9 batteries in each one, so 9G. So T equals 6M plus 9G. Okay, let's factorise. G goes into both, so G goes into both. 1G here, and then G outside the brackets, and so what we're left with is G plus 4. Okay, now we want to factorise, so we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to make minus 24 and add to make minus 2. And if you want, you could go through all the numbers that multiply to make minus 24 if you can't think of one straight away. So 1 and minus 24, minus 1 and positive 24, 2 and minus 12, minus 2 and 12, 3 and minus 8, minus 3 and 8, minus 4 and 6, and positive 4 and 6, minus 6, sorry, I should say. And that's the only ones, and you should then hopefully see that it's 4 and minus 6 that will give you that will add to make minus 2. So it's E plus 4 and E minus 6 in brackets. And so that one was a nice one to factorise. It's probably one of the easier ones to factorise. Next, some more simplifying indices. So you can see here, when we're dividing, we subtract the indices. So 8 take away 2. That gives you 6. Remember, we treat the big numbers as normal, so we do 6 times 3, which is 18. This is our e to the power of 1. We're multiplying, so we're going to add the indices. So 2 plus 1 gives us 3, so e to the power of 3. And 7 plus 4 gives us 11, so m to the power of 11. Here you can do 64 to the power of a half normally. Either you remember that to the power of a half is the same as square rooting, so square root of 64 is 8, or you can do it on your calculator. If you put it in your calculator, you would get 8, so 8. Then, because it's in brackets, we multiply the indices, so we do 6 times a half, and 6 times a half is 3, so that becomes a to the power of 3. Then we've got 2 times a half, which gives you 1. So we just write c to the power of 1, or just c. D, hopefully you recognise it was the difference of 2 squares or dots. So because it's a subtraction and this 1 is a square number. So you can see there it's x plus 1 and x take away 1. Make x the subject, and so we're going to get rid of the square root first by squaring, and so we get f squared equals 1 take away 2k over 3. We're going to times both sides by 3 to get rid of the divide by 3, so that we get 3f squared equals 1 take away 2k. Then subtract 1 from both sides to get rid of the plus 1 there, and we get 3f squared take away 1 equals minus 2k. And finally, to get rid of times by minus 2k, I divide both sides by minus 2. And that gives us 3f, so this is going to change the signs because I'm dividing by a negative number, so minus 3f squared plus 1 over 2 equals k. You can write it the other way round if you don't like the negative starting at the beginning, so you can put k equals 1 take away 3f squared over 2. Okay, factorising. Remember, you start off by doing 2 times 3, which is 6. And so we're looking for 2 numbers that multiply to make 6, that add to make minus 7. Those 2 numbers are minus 6 and minus 1, because they will multiply to make a positive 6, but add to make minus 7. Then rewrite your equation. Your expression, so 2t squared, and instead of writing minus 7t, I'm going to split it into minus 6t minus 1t plus 3. Squiggly line down the middle, and then factorise each side. So if I factorise this side, I can take out 2t. Inside the brackets is t minus 3. Take away, the biggest number I can take from 1 and 3 is 1. And then inside t minus 3 again. Remember to write down your repeated bracket, which is t minus 3. And then take the bits outside the brackets and write that together in a bracket. So 2t minus 1. Right, last question. We've got y equals a minus bx squared. We're going to get rid of the a first by subtracting a. And so we get y minus a equals minus bx squared. I'm going to get rid of the minus b, that's multiplying, by dividing by minus b. And that gives me y minus y plus a, because I'm dividing by a negative, over b equals x squared. And then finally, I'm going to square root both sides to give me that x is the square root of a minus y over b. That's it.